Welcome to the Hard Part podcast, where we deep dive into the intersection of books, therapy, and specifically men's mental health. I'm Holmes, your host, and as always, I'm here to guide you through another exploration of how we can use our resources, understanding, and community to build and foster a better community and experience of mental health and well-being. Today is one of the last episodes around the foundations of what I'm going for here on the Hard Part podcast. So you'll notice that the first few episodes have been around what I'm doing with men's mental health, what the goals of therapy are, what men want in therapy, and now we're consolidating that idea with the books side of stuff with regards to book therapy, bibliotherapy as its official term. On the show, I'm really working toward developing this out as establishing an effective space that combines books and therapy and allows us to speak to the areas of mental health, especially men's mental health, through books that we don't necessarily get a chance to do, and to find new areas and new pathways for growth and allowing a different way of engaging with the conversation rather than the typical, you're going through this, so this could be that, etc. I'm utilizing books because I love books, and I think that there is a lot of room to consolidate this as a pathway to better healing and to mental health. However, I'm also doing this as a way to also encourage people to seek help and support in the ways that they need to, and to prove and to show that there are different ways of healing and going through the challenges that we have. As I said, I'm a hypnotherapist. I do work with additional psychotherapeutic approaches as well. And I work as an integrative practitioner, which just means that I work with the approaches that are best suited for the client at that time as well. In this episode, we'll go through some of the goals of bibliotherapy and book therapy, as there might be some distance with the term. I think there's this idea of, I've never heard of that before. What does that mean? Biblio, books, therapy, book, therapy. So to be clear, bibliotherapy is where books are used for therapeutic reasons. The same way you have art, dance, drama, and music therapy, bibliotherapy or book therapy is a viable way to create connection with ourselves and others and find new ways of dealing with our mental health and well-being. And has always been the case. Just take religious texts, for example. That has always been the nexus for spiritual healing. But informally, we have book clubs and communities of the same sort of experience too. However, from my approach, I'm going at it from a therapeutic perspective. So I'm looking at the emotional impacts and the general disturbances that we might have through our own mental health and well-being, and finding the books that could actually help us acknowledge and grow through the problem that we're going through. So today, we're going to look at the 4 goals of bibliotherapy. So this should be able to help you solidify in your minds what bibliotherapy actually is. And then going onwards from this, we will be taking books, breaking them down, and looking at how we can break them down bibliotherapeutically. So the 4 goals of bibliotherapy will probably help you understand where I am coming from with regards to mental health and utilizing this approach. And I use this as an approach in working with clients. And as I said, I really, really love books too. So this is the Hard Part podcast. You can find me on YouTube, TikTok, and IG by Holmes, where you'll find me talking about books in its widest forms. But here you will find me discussing books from a therapeutic perspective, and this video will be going online in some way, shape, or form going forward. But for now, this is where I will be speaking around the therapeutic applications of books and bibliotherapy. And if you want to work with me in any way, please head over to 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐞 and you can contact me through there. So let's get on with the show. So, like I said, the 4 goals of therapy is what we're going to be looking at today. And the 4 goals are: 1, to help you respond to the world; 2, to help you with your own self-understanding; 3, to help you with your emotional intelligence; and 4, to help you deal with reality as is. And we will go through the 4 goals and see the benefits of them, potentially explore the limitations, and generally just break down what it is that these goals are, what they aim to do. So let's have a look. Number 1, improving how you respond to the world. Now, central to bibliotherapy, this involves helping you as a participant or a client respond to materials and life, in influencing your self-perception and your awareness of others and the reality of your world and how you navigate that. There is an approach to this through mental and imaginative stimulation by helping you break your own self-preoccupation by engaging thoughts and imagination through literature. So moving away from your own kind of self-centeredness, in a sense, and, like being so busy with your own thoughts, it allows you to express and move out of those thoughts through books. And this enhances your awareness of the external elements around you, such as your environment, nature, and introducing new topics or perspectives to your world, which you probably wouldn't have been able to do without sitting down and having a tool or a resource to help you do that. And like I mentioned, just like music therapy will help you communicate your needs through sound and melody and harmony, and drama therapy will help you articulate your needs and expression through movement, book therapy will help you articulate your needs through language, story, and communication, and verbal communication in that way. And we'll get more into that in a moment. Another area of this and how this helps you respond to the world is that bibliotherapy helps you appreciate beauty. Now, when we say appreciate beauty and the aesthetics of life, it allows you to foster this kind of spontaneous pleasure and self-integration. So you're looking at the world in a way that can help you understand yourself in the context of the beautiful understanding of what the world looks like. So you've got acknowledging the good things in life and in the world. So, for example, I've got this book here that I'm reading called How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. And one of the passages that I found really beautiful was the first one. So as you open the book, there is a snippet that is inevitably going to be within the story itself. So you read it and you think, there's more context to this. But essentially, it's the main character having a conversation with his mentor about his condition. And the context of the story is that the main character, Tom Hazard, is around 500, 600 years old. He was born in the 1500s. And he has a condition where he is unable to age at the accurate rate that most people his age does. So from adolescence, from every 1 year physically, it takes him another 15 years to get there. So every 15 years, he ages 1 year. And he finds people like this and like himself in this situation. So he's having a conversation with his mentor, who is someone who experiences the same condition and is older than him. And one of the rules that he gets given when he meets him is that you don't fall in love. There are other rules too, but that is the main one. No falling in love. No staying in love. No daydreaming of love. If you stick to this, you will just about be okay. To which Tom responds, I doubt I'll ever love again, because he's experienced grief, he's experienced loss, and he's experienced so many heartbreaks in his how many hundreds of years of life. To which his mentor responded, good. You are, of course, allowed to love food, music, champagne, and rare sunny afternoons in October. You can love the sight of waterfalls and the smell of old books, but the love of people is off limits. Don't attach yourself to people, and try to feel as little as you possibly can for those you do meet, because otherwise you will slowly lose your mind. Now, the key point that I'm making in that is the conversation he has around engross yourself in the beauty of the world. Engross yourself in the music, in the food, in nature, in the things that require you to live and experience life, and the things that you can touch. And, you know, there are various other things, you know, like relationships are important and being fond of another is important. And in this context, obviously, he's saying don't do that because they live so long. Falling in love and then losing them again, and falling in love and losing them again is not healthy, especially if you outlive them in so many different lifetimes each time. It's not a good way for you to deal with your mental well-being. But the point is that embrace the world in the best way that you possibly can. So with this part, it's experiencing the liberating quality of beauty and being able to read books that can bring you out into a new part of yourself, allows you to integrate yourself into the world, and enhances the freedom from your self-centeredness, from your own limitations in your own mind and your own emotions of the things that you feel that you can't change or won't change. Guaranteed that there is somebody out there who's experienced a similar experience to you, and it may be in a book, it may be in art, it may be in music, it may be in all of these things. And there's something there. So experiencing the liberating quality of beauty allows you to respond to the world in a way that, as is said, it gives you the materials and the resources to communicate what's going on with you. The next point in that is it helps you provide a focus, and it directs attention, improves concentration, and also helps clarify personal responses to discussions and aiding with difficulties in maintaining focus. And it's a good way to sit down and kind of provide a focus for the conversation that you're having, and also dedication to finishing not just a book, but a sentence, a paragraph, a passage, a page. It's a slowly active achievement led process, which is very slow and very personal to the participant and the client, which is yourself. But it's also something that allows you to have that sense of achievement of, oh wow, I finished this piece of work. And, you know, finishing a book is a big achievement for a lot of people, and that focus that you need to do that is something that we cannot underestimate at all, especially when we are living in a world where more and more people are, you know, having ADHD and other neurodivergent tendencies and experiences. Providing focus is important to help you have that sense of fulfillment and achievement and completion of something. And also helps you with recognizing and understanding feelings. So bibliotherapy assists in recognizing that and allows you to express genuine emotions and deal with negative ones. And that helps you facilitate personal growth and your own adjustment. The next point in increasing self-understanding. So bibliotherapy aims to enhance your self-evaluation and your accuracy in your self-perception. I put on my Instagram once last week or a couple of weeks ago a quote from Erich Fromm from The Art of Loving. Erich Fromm is a psychotherapist or psychologist, I think he is. But he wrote a book called The Art of Loving, in which he wrote this quote, which says, "The love of self is foundational for love of others and requires self-respect, concern, responsibility, and knowledge." This can all be achieved through bibliotherapy, through in understanding yourself. And I think the important part of that is understanding how to love yourself and accept yourself in the complexities of your experiences. Yeah. I mean, going throughout this podcast going forward, as I said, this is why it's called the hard part. It's very difficult to begin a lot of these processes and to go through a lot of these processes, but it's beneficial in the end. And going through this podcast, we are going to be looking at books which are challenging. Some of them are going to be fiction. Some of them are going to be non-fiction. Some of them are going to be poetry. You know, some of them are going to be young adult books and children's books. Some of them are going to be challenging, both from an intellectual level and an emotional level. But the process is helping us increase our self-understanding. And the use of bibliotherapeutic material acts as a mirror for self-reflection. We've got dialogue, which helps with our interaction and self-understanding and deeper approaches to what's going on with us. And engaging with that can lead us to an emotional path that, despite potential discomfort, helps us in facing unpleasant truths and fears as well. So there are things that we need to achieve going through this, which will allow us to overcome these hurdles and these obstacles that we have placed in front of us. And there are 3 levels of self-affirmation that bibliotherapy supports in this area. 1, self-affirmation by simple response. 2, self-affirmation through recollection of the past. And 3, self-affirmation through opinion giving. So if we look at simple response as it helps you respond naturally to literature. You are not a literature graduate, or you might be, but you don't have to be a literature graduate. You don't have to be a savant. You don't have to be this elite communicator. Bibliotherapy will help you with that. However, it also helps you overcome the inhibitions of expressing yourself and expressing self-affirmation, particularly within the clinical settings in which I'm creating and among people with communication challenges and being able to articulate what is going on. Like the passage I just wrote there was a clear articulation of what it means to love and the limitations of what love looks like, for example. So by simple response, you can be able to communicate what's happening through the book to help you communicate better. The next one was recollection of the past, where recollecting memory and like eliciting memory via bibliotherapy can strengthen your identity and your interpersonal understanding, especially in developmental or institutional settings. So I work a lot in schools and I work a lot in companies and in private groups. So providing these therapeutic values and fostering a sense of shared humanity through sharing memories and bringing up new memories that we had once put away in a drawer, in a closet somewhere in our minds. Bringing out these stories can help reconnect with what is going on with us too. And this is why I love the power of books, because they're stories written by people who are sharing the human experience in a way that has gone unchanged for generations. It's one of the few mediums of communication that hasn't changed that much since people began putting pen to any kind of, or any material to any material, and communicating on, whether that be stone, leaf, paper. It became this thing where we communicate what's going on with us and sharing the news of what's happening with one another. And the third one was opinion giving, so self-affirmation through opinion giving. I look at this as a space to be able to, when we have a traditional book club, there are times where it gets heated and there are debates, because everybody is witnessing the book in a different way and has experienced stuff in a different way. When I'm doing bibliotherapeutic sessions at the therapy groups, whereby I'm using bibliotherapy as the model and the mode, we have to provide a safe space for expressing and clarifying our personal opinions about what's going on. And through opinion giving, we learn to validate our opinions, and a lot of people come to this space without being able to share what's going on with themselves in everyday life. And this is a good approach to being able to help us emphasize our own personal responsibility for our views, but also enhancing self-understanding and going through our own therapeutic outcomes to help us define and affirm our identity when we are doing the work that we need to do. Yeah, so that is increasing self-understanding. So we look at the use of bibliotherapy material, as well as looking at the love of self, but also the 3 parts of self-affirmation, which is simple response, recollection of the past, and opinion giving. The third goal of bibliotherapy is clarifying personal relationships. Bibliotherapy helps you improve awareness of interrelationships through a structured process involving recognition of the shared human experiences and feelings through the stories. Now, it's important for us to develop awareness of feelings as universal. You learn that your emotional experiences are not unique. Like I mentioned before, like there's so many books out there that there has to be somebody that is speaking to your experience in some very specific way. Probably not 100%, but at least 90% of your experience can be reflected in these books. And this helps reduce feelings of isolation. And we know that there is a huge epidemic of loneliness going on. And it's not just happening within men at the moment, but young adults are feeling a lot more lonely. A lot of women are feeling a lot more lonely. The elderly. So I think like loneliness is creeping up in so many different ways. And I know that as I'm speaking to a lot more men and a lot more young men and adolescent men, the approach in which they take to developing connection and being able to kind of do that through books is not at the top of their list. And I think it's because we've not engaged reading for young men and boys in a way that is action-led, but also that is not in a way of punishment. Because if we take a lot of boys who are, who have behavioral challenges, who are not concentrating, and we shame them by taking away the things that they enjoy, the things that keep them going, and say you have to read as a punishment. As they grow older, they're not going to want to read, or their relationship to books is not going to be the same. And as we know, some people are dealing with ADHD, dyslexia, and other challenges that sometimes go undiagnosed or overdiagnosed in some communities, which then pushes people away from encountering books in this way, and then onto the next point of enhancing awareness of others, stops us from being empathetic or developing a code of empathy within us. So enhancing awareness of others, like these sessions, they foster skills in social interaction and empathy, and they teach participants to respect and listen to others, thereby understanding the impact of their behavior and behaviors of others, but also in developing an awareness of feelings for others. So this emphasizes the importance of understanding and feeling what people are going through in daily life. And it encourages participants to reflect on their interdependencies and feelings about others, whether positive or negative. There is a part of this book which expertly and succinctly describes the terror of the Salem witch trials, and not necessarily in Salem, but just witch trials in the 1600s in the UK. And I know that the terror used against women in those times was and is very indicative to the way that we treat women today, and the generations and legacy of terror and pain that has gone through the generations of women up to today has been horrific and been enforced by men and encouraged by other women as well. And being able to witness that in a book and explore that story and be like, wow, like in this instance, the character that this happened to was a mother, was a wife, was a valued member of a community, etc. And in doing that and in seeing that, we can be able to explore our empathetic skills to think, what is it that could be affecting other women today in this way? Be able to have that conversation and explore what that looks like, And that's just one example of being able to grow our empathetic muscles and our empathetic skills to create new and important pathways to allow us to be better equipped in our mental health journeys and our social health journeys too. And then you can apply this to personal relationships. So through this interaction with the material and being in group and having conversations like this, we can achieve insights that lead to improved personal relationships and a better understanding of our roles and responsibilities within those relationships. So that's just another goal of bibliotherapy, in clarifying relationships, developing empathy, developing awareness for one another, and how we apply that to personal relationships too. And then the fourth goal is dealing with reality as is. So the goal is about enlarging reality and its orientation. And this helps you correct and expand your perception of the world. And this is not just for people who are going through mental health issues, but most people who want to develop and become better people in the world, and helps you facilitate a better understanding of your relationship with reality at various stages of life. You know, as you were, you know, when you're in your 20s, it's very different to when you're in your 30s, and when you're in your 30s, it's very different between your 40s, or when you're able-bodied to when you become disabled, or when you are a single person and you become a parent, or become a wife, or become a husband, or become a significant other, a spouse, etc. As you age, you know, as you earn more money, as you lose money, like all these different things, it allows you to find different resources and different things that can allow you to engage with reality as is, and it widens your orientation when it comes to thinking about the world in that sense. And it does allow you to help with tangible everyday objects through literature, you know, helping even those with, like, you know, deep mental health concerns to focus on external realities and participate actively in group settings. So you're physically in the group and you're becoming part of a community, becoming part of a social connection, a social group. And another thing that this helps with is relating to social, psychological, and emotional realities. So encouraging deeper examination of complex emotional and psychological aspects of life, where participants are prompted to reassess past feelings, expectations for the future, and their perceptions of social interactions as is. Another thing is like helping address existential issues. So one of my friends, he went through a very difficult time where he lost somebody very close to him. And they hadn't been married for very long. And when I spoke to him about his loss, he mentioned how he spent a lot of time reading to help him get through some of his initial grief and dealing with those in life's injustices and the isolation and inevitability of death. But, you know, it creeps up and happens at any time. Nobody can time when these things happen. And he picked out this book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he began to explain to me what he was going through in experiencing his grief, but how this book helped him deal with those past feelings, his expectations for the future, his hope going forward, and his perceptions of loads of different mechanisms that allow him to develop a mature coping mechanism, and to kind of reassess his reality and figure out how he can move forward, you know? So when you go through a breakup, when you lose somebody that's close to you, when you don't know what your purpose is and you're struggling to find that out, there is inevitably a book there that can support you. And this is how bibliotherapy can help with that too. And also it's integrative. So it's integrative with all of the other goals, this one. So, you know, enhancing your reality orientation as is interconnected with the other bibliotherapeutic goals, like responding to the world, self-understanding, and into personal relations by forming a comprehensive approach to personal growth and awareness. Whew, so those are the 4 goals, you know, improving how you respond to the world, increasing self-understanding, clarifying personal relationships, and dealing with reality as is. So these can be used as a tool for therapy and personal growth. And as you know, I work as a hypnotherapist, and my particular method and approach is integrative, which means I am trained in most approaches. And, use what is necessary and important for the client to get to where they need to be. Bibliotherapy is a complementary approach, which fuses my love for books with my passion to help people as well. So for me, it's just a double fold. It's a double joy to be able to work in that way too. And hopefully this episode has been useful and makes some sense to you about what the goals of bibliotherapy are, especially when I work with my clients too. And if you want to hear more about what men might look for in therapy, please go back to session 3 or 4, maybe, I think, the two episodes ago, where I discussed that too. And hopefully there should be some gems in there going forward. Additionally, if you have any books or topics you might want me to address, drop me an email with any recommends, and I'll find the biblio or book therapeutic take. That's alex@𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐲𝐭. You can just send me an email there, and I'll happily read through those and see what your requests look like and what your concerns are. And please submit any dilemmas you think could be useful to work through, and I can spend some time trying to find the books that might help, and we'll talk about them on the show as well. And I think that could be very, very helpful to a lot of people. But also, I want to hear what your experiences are from reading books, and how that, and when was the last time you picked up a book that was very, very embracing of your emotional need at that point, and how you could develop yourself, and how you developed yourself, going forward from that. And it's not always about development. Sometimes it could put you in a negative space as well, so on the other side too. So it would be great to hear what you've experienced with your mental health and books at the same time. Also, please take the advice as intended, and please connect with me if you'd like to work with me in any capacity with sessions, talks, or other areas that you might find useful. And I think that there's so much more to come with the show, and I'm looking forward to growing it with you guys. I think that there will be so much more to discuss and talk about going forward. Like I said, going forward with the podcast, we will be spending a lot more time breaking down books and looking through the bibliotherapeutic approach to them. I think the first book that we're going to look at going forward is my book, Time to Talk. I'm probably going to do that over several parts, where I am kind of breaking down the core messages of the book, so that you can embrace it and take it in a way that makes the most sense to you as well. I'm going to take away the core messages of it and how you can apply it to your life therapeutically. And also going forward, we're going to have some more guests on the show. A lot of authors who have written books that I really love. And I want to also get their take on the mental health implications of the books too. But not just authors, other friends of mine and other public figures maybe, or people who are doing work in the space. So if you have any suggestions of people that you might want to hear from, please let me know, whether that be in the comments or whether that be over email or over Instagram. And if you want to find me, have a look on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at by Alex Holmes. You can also subscribe to Book Therapy. That's by alexholmes.substack.com, where I write bookish essays and other notes on books and mental health that might be useful to you as well. So I'm looking forward to going through my book and breaking that down from a bibliotherapeutic perspective. And we will be looking at a lot of different books throughout the year. So I'm happy that you're going to be on this journey with me. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you. And please share it, the episode, with anybody that you might think would benefit from the show, from any of the resources that are in here as well. And please head over to the reading list, which is the uk.bookshop.org/shop/by Alex Holmes. And that will be in the show notes as well. And yeah, head over to there if you're having trouble finding which books to connect with or to read. I would love for you to just go over there and have a look at any books, and obviously, let me know which books you think should be added. I think I've taken up enough of your time, so please have a great day, evening, or whenever you're listening to this, and I look forward to catching you next time. Peace.